Hello, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. I am Tom Goodwin. This is Michelle Ronquillo.
Hi, everybody.
And the subject today has to do with locations and the spiritual energy related to them, or something like you could say geography or topography or whatever in the spiritual, how it changes as you move through it. In other words, when you're living in this world, you're always connected with spiritual energy to some degree. Of course, a lot of people aren't that much of a degree connected to it, but that's why I'm trying to make a difference in this world, because people who are more connected to the spiritual energies around them, they would treat the earth better, and they would treat their fellow men, human beings better, because they would be able to sense which energies are positive and which energies are negative more readily, because they'd be able to pick up on them.
Yes, it goes into being an empath, empathy, picking up on the energies around you, knowing what is yours and what you're walking into, the environment around you. Sometimes you get that feeling like, ew, I don't want to be here. It could be that you're picking up on the energies of the land, or maybe somebody at the facility or environment that you're at that you're just feeling, I'm out of here.
Yeah, it's a good thing to get out of there sometimes when you have an uneasy feeling.
Trust your gut.
Because an uneasy feeling could mean that you could get in trouble. Something could go wrong. There's some bad energy around. It could be a person. It could be an animal. It could be all kinds of things. It could be something dangerous, like something that's like an accident about to happen in the area or something. There's all kinds of things.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time type of energy that you just want to just trust your gut and feel that energy around you. When you're feeling comfortable about a place or environment, go with it. Trust your gut. But if you're feeling like uneasy, you want to throw up, dizzy, let me get out of here, energies around you are not good, and you need to trust it. It is true that the energies around that, like for instance, in a haunted house, something traumatic happens in it, that energy stays in there and you can pick it up and feel it. Sometimes you can cleanse it with like crystals or things like that to cleanse the energies. Sage helps. But then again, when you're out in the world and you're going to different places and you walk into something like that and you feel that uneasiness, get out.
And one of the things is you got to be tuned in well spiritually. That's why I'm always talking about improving your spiritual programming.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get an uneasy feeling about me because I'm so different. So a lot of times people have uneasy feelings that aren't proper or are misguided.
Yeah, the unknown ones.
And people like that are not going to sense danger very well because they don't have a pure sense of what's dangerous and what is not. They have a distorted vision or a sense of what spiritual energy they're picking up with really represent. They don't have the balance. They don't have the attunement. And that what I always say, people are always judging other people on an intuitive level, and they are, because that's survival. But they'll judge some people wrongly, and there'll be prejudice against them automatically.
They'll get stuck in like perceptions and narrow-minded, closed views of their own reflections. Maybe they're scared of something and they're reflecting it out on somebody else that's not even true. Assuming makes an ass out of you and me. So it's always good when you're learning how to feel in that spiritual energy that you ask, you say something, you speak out and learn, and just know that the unknown is there for us to learn from.
And I did a meditative walk this morning, and I do the cat-like movement with a slight crouch, the way the cat does when it's going out hunting and being very stealth in its movement and all. And my meditative walking, which I evolved over 3 decades, is what's tuning me in very heavily into the physical, spiritual connection. That's how I developed my sharpness spiritually. It's by going out in the real world with the varying physical connections that are out there and becoming more sensitive to it. I'm not meditating in some isolated environment where the energy just takes on your energy, or meditating with a group where the energy takes on the group energy. And then if the group has messed up, it's distorted and it's delusional or has some type of cult type energy, you become connected to the cult-like energy, and you don't develop a connection with the real world.
Yeah.
And the real world needs a better spiritual connection because the real world is not doing very well right now. And we're in a very highly technological age, and spiritually we're not mature enough because we're still in the back in the past when it comes to our spiritual development on the planet. We're just not evolving. We need more spiritual pioneers, and that's what I am. I'm a spiritual pioneer. But you don't only, when we went to the West in the United States, when we took off to the West, there were a lot of pioneers. There wasn't just one pioneer. There might be one explorer that comes first, but spiritual pioneers came later. I mean, physical pioneers, but the analogy is that they were also spiritual pioneers in a sense, because anybody that becomes a pioneer in any way is also a spiritual pioneer to a degree.
Well, and it also goes into trusting your survival. And, you know, cowboys and back then and pioneers, you're on the land, you're trusting survival. You have to keep going. You have to, they had a lot of things spiritually to deal with, even if they're not recognizing it as spiritual. It was. And in that uncomfortable comes progress. And for us in this day and age, we're always putting out our senses of the energies of people, of environments. And I even walk with Tom on his meditative walks, and I was just recently in a car accident, so my energies are off balance still, and that cat-like movement that he was saying kept me balanced, and I almost went back a couple times. But it is true, when you are in a meditative state, you're trying to heal inner trauma, you're trying to heal emotional trauma, you're trying to heal your energy. It is awesome to do the meditative walks with Tom, because we are doing it in real life energies of the street, of the neighborhood, and it is a total different meditation than when you're in your room, or, you know, when you are with a group. It is hands down testimonial difference. And I challenge people to try it and experience it, and, you know, give us some feedback on it, because the energies of the earth right now are really chaotic. It's really in need of spiritual healing, and people that get hurt spiritually out in the world from their jobs or from their family or from anybody out there, they reflect that to other innocent people, and it makes the energies all whacked. People need to take on responsibilities for what they're doing, what they're feeling, what they're sensing, and also what they're putting out.
And I have all kinds of stuff all over the internet. And I have a blog on meditative walking and running, yes, and so forth.
And it'll be on the links here. That
well, I mean, it's actually on the front page of our YouTube. I have a link to all my stuff on the internet.
So check it out and try it out, and then, you know, let us know how you did, how's the questions that you need, because it is amazing when you try it out in the real world and you really see what this energy force is that you're engaging in a meditative sense.
And I have a video on it among our videos, except for I've improved on it, of course, because being a spiritual pioneer, I just am never satisfied. I'm always trying to improve. And that's what I keep telling people is you got to watch out for the people that think they got it together totally spiritually, because it's always mystery, there's always puzzles, and there's always a need for improvement. No matter where you're at, you got to keep improving, because when you stop improving, you lose it spiritually, because you have to have that vigilant energy. That vigilant energy means I have to constantly work at perfection. That small mistakes can happen if you don't keep yourself on your toes. And we live in the atomic age where small mistakes can lead to big explosions. So we cannot be messing up anymore. We're not in the days where we could have autocratic type spiritual beliefs that were never really questioned or challenged. We're in an age where we have to develop them using our rational mind and using trial and error, and constantly working on them, and not sitting back and saying, I already have it. I mean, it's just a different age we live in, and a lot of people need to wake up to that, because otherwise we're just going to keep having all this abuse and all this destruction and all this negativity on this planet, which is exaggerated because of our technology and our advancement in the scientific, technological way. And we mentioned crystals, that there are all kinds of things that are physical that take on spiritual energy.
Yes, the tools are out there. Crystals, check into those. They're great for protection. They're great for changing habits. They're great for, they have their own energies, force around them, so they can help change the energies. The Himalayan salt lamps are amazing to put out, positive ions in the air. There's all kinds of tools that you can use that helps with the transformation of the spiritual energy around you.
And the thing with crystals is they are a physical thing. Now, dogs and cats and things like that, animals, they take on, they have their own connection with the physical, and you can sense them and their energy when you go out there. And sort of like they're part of the physical, spiritual, along with humans and everybody else. They all affect the energies around you when you go out there.
Pay attention to the animals and see what they're doing. What are they doing in the environment that you're at?
And I can tell a lot about the neighborhood, by the way.
The signs.
Because the dogs I have to walk on the street in a lot of areas in our neighborhood, because if I walk on the sidewalk, dogs will think I'm invading their territory, because they don't have a pure sense of boundaries. And so I have to walk in the street, and then the dogs will dare to go after me when I'm doing my cat-like meditative walk when I'm in the street. And to me, I'm in a visual meditative state, but I can go zap and fake a charge and go grrr and scare them away. And I have no problem doing that, because they have invaded my space really strongly, because not only am I not on the sidewalk, but I'm on the road, and they still invade my space. And to me, if the owners say anything, well, we have a leash law, and the leash law is violated when they are out there on the street and all. So I can hope that, so they are violating the law, and so they're in the wrong. And I'm not fooling around. In other words, when I go out for my walk, I have this attitude that
means business.
Yeah, because the world is messed up spiritually, and I'm just not going to put up with it, because I found it personally all my life. Why do you think I'm doing what I'm doing? Because I found it personally. So I'm not going to allow this messed up spiritual energy and the people responsible for it to feel like they can attack me. Or, if they...
Yeah, and then it also goes into people in life, too. Like the way that Tom hits the energy force with the dogs out on his walk. It's the same thing in life with people's energies. So if you look at the metaphor and the training to use that in your job or your family, to not let people overpower you with their energies. Hold your ground, understand what you're doing, how you are needing to feel in a positive sense. You're the independent person that allows abuse or pushes it away and knows your worth.
Yes, and we live in a really tricky world, and people may say, one of the things is I do a dumbbell swing. I do a 20-pound dumbbell swing. And I have a video on that where I do a deep squat, and I do bend my elbows, but I take the 20-pound dumbbell from between my legs to behind my head. So I do my own modified one. And I do it with 27 breaths in and out per swing. And you see how I can do that because I've trained myself. So you wonder why the dogs react the way they do, and I can scare them. Because I'm in extremely good physical condition. At 130 pound for pound, very, very, very physically fit. And that's also why, that's why I can do such an intense meditative walk. Because it takes fitness to put yourself in that state and maintain your balance.
It really does. And it helps your immunities. Check out some holistic things that help build your immunities up as well. Because as we are getting these spiritual energies out in the environment, You know, you protect yourself from any viruses or anything that are going around by how strong you are spiritually, mentally, and physically. That is very important. And what is the key around Tom's exercise meditative programs is that health. Think about the nutrition, what you put in your body. Keep it a vessel that's going to give you the nutrients and power to do these meditative exercises.
And I am on a diet that basically is mostly oatmeal and canned greens and vitamins and mineral supplements. And that is why I'm able to push the edge so well and so intensely at the age of 66, is because I'm on such an intense diet. Now, you don't have to go exactly on a diet as extreme as mine, but we have a food industry that has all these addictive foods on the market that obesity has become a major problem in our society.
Yeah,
and
start researching.
And that's sort of like the physical spiritual connection, because if you're not connected to your own body, how are you going to be connected with the physical world around you? You have to get control over things. And we can actually do a lot more. Science, you see, is kind of shallow. It does not really take in the spirit. I mean, it could be deeper in the sense that scientists could become more aware of the spiritual dimension of things, but they tend to have a sort of shallow approach to things. And we need to get deeper. And when I'm talking about getting deeper, I was going to bring up hunger. That getting hungry is a good thing, because you'll eat healthy food if you get hungry enough. And the thing is, science is always putting down willpower. Willpower is a spiritual thing. It's not a scientific thing. It's not something you can take. I guess they could probably say, this is the willpower center of the brain, and we're going to image it, and we'll find that this person right here, happens to have a lot of willpower, because this part of the brain really lights up when he gets fired up and gets really going and gets all that energy.
Yes, he does.
And, you know, they might notice that, but they haven't tested me because I'm an unknown. I'm still an unknown. That's one of the reasons I push it so hard. Because a person like me that is developed over decades, all this wonderful spiritual stuff is still unknown in this world. But not a surprise, because
technology is still behind, and
because the world's not really open. Spiritual pioneers have to almost break doors open, because there's no doors that are open at the point when they come in the world, or they develop themselves. They have to do that, because a world that is backward for a reason. They're backward because they are not willing to go through certain doors. Oh, there's a dragon in that area, or there's some kind of monster. We can't open that door. If a person comes on and says, I'm really good at something, what do people think? Especially when it comes to spiritual, they'll say, oh, this is one of those people that's going to start a cult or something. It's dangerous for anybody to feel like they really have it together spiritually. That's the way they look. Unless they go by the traditional dogma of traditional belief systems or whatever. Then it's okay, but don't you dare develop something new, because then everybody fears you. But you can tell the difference between a cult leader and a person that's a rational spiritual developer of ideas and whatever. You can tell the difference, because you can ask them questions and they'll give you reasonable response. They're not going to say, oh, I have this autocratic source that tells me that you got to just blindly believe. Throw your ego out the window. Don't have an ego. Just accept exactly what I say. If you go against what I say, that's your ego. And what I say is you can retain your ego as long as it's a healthy one that's rational in its approach. Because we need because the spiritual is very rational and reasonable. We actually live in a very rational and reasonable universe spiritually. It's just that we have to understand it in order to understand how it works and that it's rational. If we don't understand it, it's not going to seem rational at all, because we won't have any idea about how it actually works. So the mystery will make it seem irrational. The fact that you don't know what you're doing makes everything seem rational.
Yes, and understanding that yin yang, we all have the good and we all have the shadows inside of us, and the energies is understanding those shadows is our flaws. And we might not like them, but we're here to make them better and stand in the center of that pure light and make those things balance and not run from them, not deny them that they're there, but embrace them and evolve with them and grow with the energies of knowing what is the contrast of what you don't want to do.
In the physical world, it's very complicated. And as I say, talking about puzzles, I grew up with an interest in the weather. And so you can see how my mind tends to work. I tend to deal with multiple variables and
Yes.
where you have to really check out all kinds of things, and there's always mystery with the weather. You never get all the variables. And that's the way it is with the spiritual.
Yes,
it's exactly the same way. And the people that think that they know the weather report, that they know exactly what's going to happen in the future, that they have it all figured out, they're not going to have a very good batting average when it comes to knowing what's going to happen next and how to deal with it. Because when it comes to the weather, you get the best forecast you get, but you have to be ready for the fact that it could be quite a lot more intense or less intense. You don't know how it's going to actually turn out. You just get in a basic ballpark. You know a storm is likely to hit, so you can get ready for it. It may not hit, but you know it's likely to hit. And that's what you have to be able to deal with when it comes to the spiritual. You cannot have this locked-in viewpoint, because that's just not the way it worked, and that's the problem we have in this world spiritually.
Yes.
And we need to get connected more with the physical, and that's why you have to get connected with the complexity and the fact that it's difficult, because that's another thing with the physical. It's a resistant type. We live in a world where there's actual resistance, where there's actually challenges. And we need that. It brings out the most in us spiritual, to have challenges, to get that toughness, to take on that which resists us. So the world that counts the most for us spiritually is the world we're in right now, not some afterlife, not somewhere else, not something
in the moment, right now.
Now, and in the near future, where we're heading, so to make the present that's coming on us really rapidly a better one. So the future is important in that it's going to eventually become the reality that we're going to be in the present. So we have to constantly be working in the present to make for a better future, and of course learn from the past.
Yes.
But we have to put the energy in the present that will deal with the future. We have to put the energy in the present that learns the lesson from the past, because in the present we're actually acting and dealing with these. So the present counts the most, but the present doesn't contain the past and the future within it. So we have to take it in account in the present. We cannot use it as an escape.
That's right. And breathe. Always remember to breathe.
Yeah. Breathe. Breathe. Yeah. This has been the physical spiritual connection, dealing with the underlying spiritual energy that is everywhere, that sometimes that science needs to take more into account very much. I did real well on a science test on the internet yesterday, so I'm pretty tuned into science, but it doesn't mean that I'm limited by science. I just take that as one of the many variables, and of course
it plugs in and confirms spirituality, and that's what we need. Science confirms spirituality. Spirituality confirms science.
That the physical world is part of. That has a very strong spiritual impact, and the spiritual physical connection is very important.
Yes.
Okay, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. The subject has to do with locations and physical things and the environment, and how it relates to us, how we can connect with it, that the spiritual energy is involved in everything that is in the physical universe.
Pay attention. Put out your senses.
And we can tune into it. We can actually tune into it. We can actually
change it. You can change it.
And we can transform the world. We can actually transform all these problems that so many people and a lot of scientists think are beyond our capability of doing. We can actually do it, but we have to do the work. And we have
one step at a time and one example at a time.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, well directed.
Yes.
Okay, so Positive Vibes Enterprise, thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you. Subscribe and leave notes, leave questions, Let us know what you think.
And look at the links on the front page of our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We have Facebook links, and we have links to all the stuff I've put on the internet. I mean, before I even started the working on the videos with Michelle, I was putting so much stuff on the internet before that.
Check it out. Crystals, the tools that'll help you change the energies. Sage, if you have any questions, leave questions. Tom does amazing charts. He needs your birthday.
Yeah, that's a physical spiritual connection. Astrology, a new astrology system without signs or houses.
And if you're interested in a chart reading, leave a message and we'll get you hooked up with Tom. I do gut intuition readings. Leave a message and I'll hook you up with one. And we'll see you next time on Positive Vibes Enterprise.
Yes.
Bye-bye.